Barry Owino, which is the president of Model International Delegates. He told me about the project. It was beyond simulating and doing MUNs, and also doing conferences and training programs about soft skills, what I thought the three main projects of the organization were one of the keys that we are missing in university while we are students.
Model International Delegate is a non-profit organization that promotes education through simulation and role play. We believe that education should be inclusive, participative, and interactive. And simulations and role play, problem-based learning is the best way to gain knowledge and also to improve yourself as an individual. We started the project back in 2013 with a friend called Christian Zamundo. Him and me, we decided to do a project where we could engage more people regarding MUN. And in order to make the project real, more and more people joined the project. So we have Ali Hassan who joined us at a really early stage when it was just an idea. We had some other members who are present today, who are still in the Secretariat, who joined us at that moment. And we all believed in the common thing that we don't need to wait and sit around to be a change, to make a change. We can found a real organization, and we can inspire other people to take lead of different aspects of their life, whether it's education, employment, and so on. So it's basically a tale of leadership, I would say.
This is a Model United Nations conference simulation. There are 5 committees naming NATO, IMF, UN Security Council, ECOSOC, and Council of the European Union. And what we're basically doing is trying to simulate a discussion so that the delegates can discuss about it and come up with a solution or a proposal.
What is particular about our event, it's not only for students, but we have participants from the professional world who are there to observe. And basically it's mainly institutions or companies from the private sector who are dealing with the topics on a daily basis, and they're attending the event to have new ideas regarding the solutions the students are bringing, and also to find new talents. So by organizing the first edition of Brussels MUN United Nations, what we are actually doing is reducing the gap between the professional world and the academic world, allowing them to meet for 3 days and to exchange. And like for instance, most of the prizes that will come from our event at the closing ceremony that will take place tomorrow will be internships and publications from various institutions.
As well, having observers had made it interesting for students since they were very realistic in their feedback. They make students feel that they are being listened.
We didn't have a kind of MUN Model United Nations here in the capital of Europe. So I was very excited, very glad also to hear that Brussels would host its very first MUN.
The dynamics in the NATO Council are completely different than in, for example, let's say Security Council. You need to work together. There's no room for putting delegates under pressure, etc., etc. So it's really about diplomacy, pure diplomacy.
We had, of course, our disagreements and a few points on which we did not agree upon, not on the how part rather than the what part, so objective, so we all agreed upon that. But then when it came to the how are we going to achieve this part, we had minor struggles, but reminding us of the fact of the decision-making process made it easier to resolve them. Regarding what we have discussed in our committee in the NAC, for Germany it is important to be a benign liberal power, especially with the ongoing crisis. We find it hard to be more offensive, as you all know, with the Baltic states, for example, who wishes more support, more military support from NATO. as Germany, we have been struggling with that point. So that is definitely a point I want to stress, that Germany is more about cooperation than getting on the offensive.
I think that all chairs will say that was exhausting. Now I'm very satisfied about those past 2 days. We accomplished so much in so little time. I mean, yesterday we had a piece of paper with just some random sentences on it, and we finished with a 4-page document that was extremely well written and of high quality. So I can only say as chair that I'm really proud of what my committee has done, also because there were so many delegates that participated for the first time.
The first day was actually quite lively. We have a rather small committee here at IMF, and the topics are quite dense and technical. But I have to say that this small committee that I have is doing a great job. My delegates are all very knowledgeable, and they're very proactive as well. So all in all, I'm a very content chair. My committee has chosen to talk mainly about the financial transaction tax and nearing completion on a resolution on that topic. We have two main blocks who are really standing at horns with each other, so it's very difficult to agree on concrete aspects of a possible financial transaction tax. Nevertheless, we're starting to get a resolution. It's not really comprehensive yet, but we're working on amendments right now. So as chair, I have faith in a comprehensive and good resolution. On the one hand, you have the European Union and a few collateral states that are fans, if I can put it like that, of a financial transaction tax because they feel it's a tool to provide security against too much speculation on the market, too much volatility on the market, and a sort of justice system to redistribute capital and make sure that firms and holdings don't make money on merely speculating without adding any value to society. On the other hand, of course, you have the countries like the UK and the US who have the City and Wall Street, where a lot of financial transactions are actually being carried out, and who feel that a financial transaction tax might cause severe damage to their economy.
We mainly discussed in our session here the financial transaction tax. That was our first topic, and we're still on it. So there's like some heavy discussion going on. In the name of the delegation of Spain, I would say we strongly vote in favor of a financial transaction tax because we want to incentivize financial institutions to take less risk in order to make profit. So that's really important for us, but during the session, we realized that we couldn't find a common ground on the financial transaction tax. So at the same time, we worked on a financial responsibility, a crisis responsibility fee, which we are now ready to hand in and to vote on. It was fun, anyway.
I chose the Security Council. I know the rules and the topic were was very familiar to me, given the fact that I attended before 2 other events where those were topics. So I was familiar with the topic, familiar with the rules, and it was a favorite committee. And it's small and easy to manage. It's also challenging sometimes, because sometimes you think it's the size, but it's not more the size, it's the participant. And you never know who's coming, you never know how much experience they have or background and so on. So what defines the spirit and the intensity of Security Council, it's not the size, but the participant and their background. On the very beginning, it was so difficult, not in terms of the topics, but also the way I was expecting it to go. So it was kind of a challenge, kind of fight between me and my participant. Whereas I'm there to serve them, I got a bit involved. But at the end of the day, we actually got the job done, and we at the end of the day today, we had three draft resolutions on the table. 1 was adopted and 2 failed. But anyway, it is success that we actually managed to discuss both topics and had resolution on both topics, and there was amendment friendly as unfriendly. And the debate was so warm and participants so engaged and interactive.
The debate within the Security Council on the issue of human rights within North Korea were a bit tense because Russia will support North Korea, and surprisingly countries such as France also supports a working paper involving Russia, but also under the advices of North Korea, who has surprisingly been invited within the Security Council by the United Kingdom. And as a delegate of New Zealand, we really urge the members of the Security Council to consider their position, to make sure to call up their good sense, and to make sure that the Security Council works towards solving human rights issues in North Korea. The delegation of New Zealand would like to underline that human rights are a priority and should be a priority for the United Nations, for each and single committee of the United Nations, and is very concerned that human rights violations still take place within North Korea. But obviously the Security Council is not all about clashes. We are there obviously to find compromise and consensus. And fortunately we are thrilled to announce that there is a draft resolution introduced on the topic of the South China Sea tensions that seems to have reached a consensus, and that hopefully will pass today. So the Security Council is useful, is efficient, and will hopefully solve this issue of South China Sea tensions.
I felt like it was time to, like push my ideas forward, or like what I believe in, and that would only happen if I was a chair.
So it's interesting to see the different kind of delegations you have and the kind of, you call batailles words that you would have. So it was interesting to see that, plus the policy issues that they were addressing, which are climate change and water security, as well as human trafficking, are very relevant right now, and they're going to take a lot of work to work on. So it'd be interesting to see. I thought it would be interesting to see how students, how delegates themselves, and me being a student myself, how I would apply the general rules and procedures that go along with that committee, in addition to seeing how these students actually interpret and come up with creative ideas.
I really like being immersed in this whole thing, in this, let's say, big game of simulation. And I really enjoy having discussions and see how people debate and can tell their own opinion. See also how people represent other countries. Sometimes it's very interesting to see different views and different opinions. And then last point, I would say that for the social part of this simulation, meeting people, there are people from all countries, and so you meet people from different culture and from different backgrounds, and then you go out with them and you enjoy your time.
The day is actually started quite slow, but then delegates picked up once everyone learned the rules of procedures. And it was really interesting that by the end of the day we had not one but two resolutions, and we were successful to pass one. And I can say I was really proud, and I felt really nice at the end of the day that as much as we had challenges at the beginning, by the end of the day we were able to come up with something, concrete and something that people could identify with at the end of the day. Yeah.
As for today, we're being a little bit more stringent with our delegates. A little bit more serious, making sure they're applying the procedures appropriately, and getting them to be more engaged, especially on the second topic, human trafficking. So far, so good. They're following the rules. They're trying to apply them as effectively as possible, having debates, of course, a little bit of ad hominem abusives here or there, but pretty good so far. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Russian is having clashes with different delegation of the European countries. With France, with Germany, with Italy, because we try to show what our country's position, and we yeah, we like to remind the others' failure and the others' lack in their own policies. So that's how sometimes we have clashes. The delegation of the Russian Federation wants to cooperate on the issues that we're discussing today, on human trafficking and smuggling cooperation. And even if some stereotype think that in Russia we do not recognize as victims, we do not recognize human rights issues as important as other issues, the Russian Federation today hopes to find, hopes to show to the others that it has a lot of ideas and it has a lot of ambitions, even on these matters of human trafficking and human smuggling.
I specialize myself in European Union, mostly foreign and security policy, but it would be interesting as well to discuss on net neutrality and VAT gap. As I'm a political science student, so I had both communication sciences and fiscal policy, courses on fiscal policy, so I found both very interesting topics and challenging topics.
With this Council of the EU Committee, as I'm studying European studies, was really interesting to me in order to improve my view about decision making in Europe.
We don't have a resolution, so our first thing was our directive, and I'm really glad that we finally pushed it through today, because I like my delegates to talk or to speak about both topics and to come up with documents about both topics. And first day was like I think 50% of my council were newbies, in the sense that they never had done an MUN before. So in the beginning you saw that many of them weren't accustomed to the rules of procedures, but I really saw some of my delegates grow, which I found awesome to see. And I had some very pushy delegates, I had some very talkative delegates, I had some delegates which always were saying points, and then I said no. And we had Sweden, who thought that he was Cuba instead of Sweden. But in the end, the debates were constructive. We had 3 working papers by the end of the day, and this morning we had our directive ready. So I am glad as a chair. For the delegates, I think it's the way they grow during the MUNs, like from the first session, they don't speak at all. Then they speak up, or other delegates that always speak but make little mistakes. But they also learn, like some delegates who always say that I in the beginning start to say we, then I'm also glad. Most of them are participating in writing resolutions, and I think everybody has again learned something about both the topics and about being a diplomat. So that's the most beautiful thing.
I would say that the Netherlands is full of ideas. It's full of ideas, very good ideas, and that there's some incentives, some laws in Europe that should be inspired by the Dutch law. About the law about network neutrality, it seems to be hard to reach an agreement to all countries, and the Netherlands definitely should provide a more important communication about their law about network neutrality, and I believe that this law is very good personally, and they should really promote this law. And about the other topic, VAT gap, well, definitely the exchange of ideas between countries regarding the high position of the Netherlands on this topic. The Netherlands again should provide more communication on what they're doing currently. One of the main clash was probably with Germany. Germany is a bit quite aggressive sometimes, and their position was sometimes different from other member states. So I would name this clash between Germany and other countries on the topic of network neutrality. Germany promoted a more open network neutrality, and was a bit too open sometimes, and while it was maybe not realistic regarding what has been done in the Netherlands for these past 4 years, and so yeah, Germany wanted to promote a bit too much the network neutrality, and there were like big debate about this.
I would recommend a Model United Nation to anyone who is interested in politics, who likes to speak in front of people, or who likes to debate, and most of all, who likes to meet new people, meet people from all around the world with the same interests and with life experiences that are truly amazing. If you're looking for a challenge, MUNs are great. It's about negotiation, it's about social skills, soft power, it's about friendship, it's about everything you can imagine. It gives you a lot of experience you won't find in the academic world, writing papers or doing tasks for one of your classes. So it's mainly the experience part that is very exciting.
Just having a good time working on difficult topics which are related to the real world and which matter actually. So the work we do here, or the work we simulate here, matters.
It's really interesting to watch all young us like young people working in those decision-making processes. While there are different personalities, and you have to reach an agreement at the end, and that's really interesting, you know, for your life in general. Well, you know, meet different people with maybe different ideas, maybe different purposes as well when they come to a place, to a debate, and well, at the end you have to reach an agreement at the point.
It's a very great experience, and whatever you're studying or whatever your aspiration in life, it's very benefic at a personal, social, and maybe professional level. So yeah, it's a very great opportunity.
I think that when people participate in Model United Nations, you get to come out from your cocoons. Mostly when you're in school, you just learn about things, you learn about, for example, climate change, but then you don't know how to use it. So when we have MUN, we have platforms to apply the knowledge that we learn in class and to put it in practice and actually think about, you know, real things that happen. And I think for me, I like MUNs too, because I feel it provides an opportunity to make future diplomatic relations. I believe, for example, in the ECOSOC committee, there is the future president, for example, of Canada, or the future chair of ECOSOC also. And so with that, if you made friends before, it would be easier to make negotiations when it's a more serious matter and in the real world. Yeah.
I think the one thing I could say you could take from this, for students, what they should take is being more proactive, and actually vocalizing their ideas and substantiating them, giving them background, doing research, actually having the methodology to kind of apply their research and their knowledge. I think that's the best thing yet. Plus, just like she said, having a platform to actually have your ideas heard, engaging, networking with people, making connections, and at some point, even though we're doing these simulations and they're just simulations, you don't even know if this individual in the near future might be someone you might work with in one of these international organizations, whether even municipal or provincial or whatever it is. So you don't know. So the best thing you could do is network, make connections, and be proactive.
It will help them to see what happens in real life, and they can already prepare themselves and try to be more specific about how they can try to negotiate or be diplomatic to each other, and this will, I think, prepare them to be better leaders of tomorrow, and they can also understand what's going on around them and try to find the best solution or proposal related to the topics that they're discussing.
Keep participating with MUNs.
Continue doing MUNs.
You're awesome.
Let's keep it on. We is not I.
I would take, there's a comment that a delegate made yesterday. I think it was the delegate of Togo, and he said, "You're not alone."
I'm trying to think. What would I say? I just say enjoy it, have fun, learn, and there's more to come. Basically, there's more to come, and yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that everybody that participated in this conference could send me a message saying what they thought about it. We made it.